I don't think that uh, a sexual experience needs to be devoid of humor. I feel good about this. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of I Feel Good About This pod. I am your host, Jane, and I'm here. It's September 17th in Chicago and also around the world at the time of recording. Well, I guess actually, if you're like in Australia or maybe places in Asia, it might be September 18th, but I'm still living in the past in September 17th. And what I will tell you about the city of Chicago right now is that we had a week where it was like nice and cool and fall like. And we have, and by the way, this happens every year, so there's no reason why I should be surprised by it. But now we are back, and it's in the mid to late 80s, which is something that I sort of put to bed personally on my journey through the summer. I'm ready for like more fall vibes. I don't know if you can tell the lip. The lip is giving fall. And um I'm still seeing those piggies out everywhere. Everyone's got their little feet out. And one of my favorite times of the summer is when people put those toes away. And I'm not saying that like all feet are gross. Some people have nice feet. I don't necessarily want to see them. I don't have a problem with nice feet. But I think there are some feet that should stay in the shoe and stay in the sock. And I beg all of us to be our own sort of, uh, you know, arbiter of truth in that scenario and have a conversation with you and say, look, if I'm not sort of getting help with pedicures on these things, if my feet are just unfortunately reminiscent of the roots of a tree, then I gotta stay socked and shoed. And I don't want to have to be the one to tell people, but sometimes I wear it on my face because this bad boy is expressive. Anyways, I want you all to feel good and, free when it's hot out, and getting sort of the relief you need. But I beg of you to wear the short sleeves and wear the shorts and keep those piggies wrapped up. So that's where we are. And I can't wait to get to fall. A lot of fun socks we can wear, different kinds. Sometimes there's fun characters on the socks, or there's knee high, there's ankle. So there's a lot to choose from. And I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to obviously episode 6. So let's get started. So this is our first segment called I Feel Good About This week. And I'm going to take it down for you guys a little bit. Keep it kind of sultry and low, because the first thing that I feel good about this week is, this is weirdly complimenting myself, and I didn't realize this until I started talking, but here we are. My wife and other people in my life who I've had phone conversations with, I also host an audio only podcast, have complimented me for my low, sexy voice. Not something you hear a lot of here, because I sort of get in my feelings and get really loud and shrill when I'm impassioned about something that I feel strongly about. But if I'm just, talking about something in general, I sort of do have this low voice. And people before, I used to be a receptionist when I was in my early 20s. And I remember I answered the phone, and this weird, creepy guy was like, "Oh, you should be a phone sex operator." And I was like, "Ew, I'm calling the police." But then I was like, wait a minute, work from home, make my own hours, and say filthy things to people. Those are 3 things that I can really get on board with. And so I'm wondering, because if this is your first time joining this podcast, I've been unemployed for a little while and I'm searching for ways to make money. And I think with the advancement of the internet, phone sex operating isn't quite as hot as it used to be. But I really wish it would sort of have a resurgence because I feel like I could do some really good things, particularly if there's a scenario where, you men can call and they want to be degraded or insulted. I'm so ready for that. I am primed for that. And there's a part of me that will almost do that for free. I mean, I love insulting men and I love feeling powerful and by way of making men feel small. I hope this gets on like right wing TikTok so they see this and come for me. Because out of context, I mean, I guess this isn't out of context, it's very much in context. If you hear that, that's true. Because I am something of a person who is awake and has eyes and sees what men have done for centuries. So I want to get my lick back. And part of me would really, really enjoy doing that via phone sex operations and draining men of their hard earned money. I'm not saying men don't work hard. I'm just saying they get paid more than other people because they're men. And that doesn't feel right. So I feel like I should get some of that by insulting them. I hear financial domination is a really great way to make some money. I don't really know how to get into that. So I feel good about exploring this low, sultry voice. So if you know of anything, let me know in the comments. And is this doing anything for anybody? Let me know that too. I might need to work on this a little bit. Seems like I'm trying too hard. And maybe now I'm putting on the dude voice. I should stop. So I feel good about that.
I just feel like could you really do it though? I feel like you would
Of
be,
course I could.
but I feel like you would be. I don't know that you could be earnest for that long. I feel like you'd make jokes.
I don't think that uh, a sexual experience needs to be devoid of humor, right? I love to laugh during, not at people. Hopefully, we're laughing together.
At what?
You've never gotten in a sticky situation? No pun intended, obviously, but the next thing I feel good about is actually kind of more of an earnest thing that I've been experiencing since I've been putting myself out here on this podcast and out into the universe on TikTok and Instagram. And I have had a lot of conversations with people in my life about putting an end to the embarrassment of trying. And I feel very, very, very strongly about this because there were so many years and have been so many years in my life that I didn't do things because I was embarrassed that people would see me try. And it's such a difficult, like, weird space to be in because everybody has to start somewhere. You know what I mean? Even from episode 1, we have improved on this podcast. I don't know if you guys remember, but you can go back and see the stark room behind me in episode 1, where all of these paintings, by the way, were lined up on the floor in front of each other, and I couldn't be bothered to hang them up. And so, literally, that was the only thing that made me do it was like, oh, I saw the video and I look like I'm in a padded cell because the walls are empty. So small things like that where it's like you have to start somewhere. And how horrible would it be if you went through your entire life and didn't start at all? And so I think about like filming myself outside of this room when I try to make a TikTok for attention, which again, all of this is for attention. All of this is me coming out here saying, I think I'm funny and I think I have something worth it to say. And that is really embarrassing because you're supposed to be humble and you're supposed to be like, oh, I don't know if I can do this and blah, blah, blah. I'm calling for the end of that. If you want to do something, let's fucking go. It's more embarrassing to live a life where you don't do the thing you want to do because you're worried about what other people might say about you. The real people in your life will support you wholeheartedly no matter what and give you constructive feedback in order to improve what you're doing. And the people who don't know you, who want to talk shit about you, probably aren't going to say it to you. And if they do, it says more about how they feel shitty about themselves for not trying than it does about you. So, to take a quote from my very good friend who is a huge supporter of me and has had many conversations with me about this, and he's been so supportive. This is my friend Brandon, who I also have another podcast with called Movies We Missed. Check it out. He said to me in the most loving way recently, "You have so many other things to be embarrassed about. Don't let it be this." So here is a list of things I actually am currently embarrassed about, which I feel are very justified. Number one, I've talked about this on the podcast before, but there is a McDonald's promotion for BTS with those tiny tan characters. And I'm embarrassed about the fact that I have gone to McDonald's um, at least, I think, 4 or 5 times this month and ordered a Happy Meal as an adult to get a child's toy. And then I've eaten that McDonald's and I've gotten so sick of eating the McDonald's Happy Meals, I've started feeding it to my dog just so I can get the toy. So that's one. Number two, there are times when I don't get out of bed till like noon or 1 because I don't have anything else to do. And sometimes I just like scroll on my phone, and I'm telling you, like, I'm up at like 8 or 9, and I will literally just scroll on my phone until like midday. And then someone will call me and be like, "Hey girl, what's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, today's so packed. Like, I can't get enough of what I'm doing," which is a lot. But the truth is, I've been lying down all fucking morning. The third thing that I'm super embarrassed about is like, I have like, when I become like really obsessed with something, I have trouble not talking about it to people all the time. So when I'm having a conversation with someone casually, I'm like running through my head trying to think of ways to bring up the thing that I'm really obsessed with, even though I know the other person barely cares. And it's almost like I'm not really listening to my friend at that point. I'm just finding an in for myself to talk about the thing I'm obsessed with. And that's really embarrassing for me because sometimes the thing that I'm obsessed with is A, embarrassing, or B, they have no interest in whatsoever, but like I literally can't stop it from rising up out of my throat into my mouth and spilling into the conversation, even though what maybe we're talking about like a sick parent or something like that. And I'm so self-centered that I can't sort of get through what they're going through. I gotta bring up, I don't know, a television show I can't stop thinking about. Like, that's bad. If someone's like sitting there talking to me about their sick pet, I'm sitting there running through the Rolodex in my brain thinking like, "Oh my god, how can I bring up Craig David's album Born to Do It?" You know what I mean? It's not good. It's not good. Okay, we are now at the section I don't feel good about this week. And my first take is something so weird, but I have to talk about it because I wonder if other people are feeling this way. And if you're not, that's okay. I realize that what's going on up here is not always 100% relatable, but it is 100% crazy. So let's start with my first one, which is okay. So, on Instagram, when someone posts a video and maybe they're making like a delicious chicken recipe, and oftentimes, like, when someone's making a recipe on Instagram, they'll share it in the comments, but it's when someone is making a chicken recipe and they say in the caption, "comment chicken" in all caps, and I'll DM you the recipe. And baby, I hate this so much. And here's why. I have seen, like, and it's not just like recipes, like, if someone's wearing like a skirt or a sweater and you want to know where it's from, they'll say, like, "comment sweater in the comments section and I'll DM you." And I don't know why, but I feel so much intense secondhand embarrassment when I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see someone I know has commented chicken on all caps in the comments. And it's like, I see it. I see it. I know you're jonesing for a good chicken recipe and you're so desperate. you're participating in this ritual. By the way, if I ever get big enough on Instagram to do this, and I do this, and there's some sort of money making opportunity for me to be doing it, like, baby, scroll past and don't judge me because I'm doing it. I'm just saying it's embarrassing. Like, I see someone like jonesing for a skirt or a sweater or whatever, and it's like big chicken in their comments. I don't know why I feel so embarrassed for them. And there are so many times when I've been like, oh my God, I would love to know how to make that chicken recipe, or how did you get your tofu so crispy, or oh my God, what's in that sauce? But you can put a gun to my head and I'm not commenting sauce in all capital letters in your comment section, because I think about someone seeing me and being like, okay, sauce pervert. And because I do that. And I realize that that makes me like a shitty person to like be weirdly judgmental about this one very specific thing on Instagram. But like, I don't want anybody knowing I'm doing that. I don't want anybody knowing how badly I want that sweater. You know what I mean? It's just it's not for me. And when I see it, I think, okay, enjoy your discount sweater as if I'm paying full price for fucking anything. I am so on board with the deal. It's not how much it costs, it's how much personal cost it feels to have someone see you want something on the internet. Okay, so the second thing I don't feel good about this week, this is, and I will preface this by saying that this is very much just a me thing. I am not putting this on anyone else. Everyone's journey is different. Now that that disclaimer is out of the way, let me talk about what I'm talking about. So I have ADHD, which I know a lot of people do, because the internet talks about it constantly, myself included. I do feel like when you have some sort of neurodivergence, it's actually helpful to talk about it and let people know how it affects you, because it affects everyone differently, and people who are really interested in getting to know you and know, like, you know, how you function within that neurodivergence is helpful. But but I feel like when I first started, like, okay, when I first started looking into my own ADHD stuff on TikTok, tons of videos. Also, there's a lot of like misinformation out there, so like that's all a whole thing. But I kept looking up, I kept watching people who posted videos about like what they experience as a person with ADHD and how it presents in them. And sometimes I found that very helpful. It's like, oh, that's me too. That happens to me too. Because I got diagnosed with it when I was quite young and then just went on medication, but had no really understanding of what it meant to have ADHD, particularly as a woman, particularly as an adult. And so hearing other people talk about it, very helpful for me, right? And also, as a person who doesn't take medication for it currently, I use a lot of like hacks that I find that help me sort of um make my life a little bit easier, so that like I can still function well, because it's all about not having great executive function skills. So I struggle with tasks and daily things and keeping organized, and I want help with that. I do feel like when I first started going into this rabbit hole of the ADHDers online, it was everything. Everything was ADHD. And so it was like, I remember seeing a meme, and you may have seen this. It was like someone tweeted, and I'll find it and I'll put it up, but someone tweeted, um, some of y'all don't understand how hard Halloween is for people with ADHD. And then someone retweeted that and wrote like, y'all can't do fucking anything. And I felt that so wholeheartedly, because I was watching all of these videos about like, well, your ADHD can present like this, which means you don't do this, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And it was like, I was letting myself off the hook for like functioning like a normal adult so much, because I was like, well, that's an ADHD thing. But what I don't feel good about is letting myself off the hook from like being a functioning adult. Things may be harder for me to get through than someone else who doesn't have ADHD, but that doesn't mean that I can't do shit. Like, I still need to clean my house and do my laundry and, try to have some sense of organization. I can't be like, well, sorry, my brain doesn't really function that way, so I'm not doing it at all. It's like, then I would be left in a house filled with dirty dishes, covered in mold, breathing in black mold and fucking dying by the time I'm 45 because I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not letting myself off the hook anymore. I'm creating, I'm changing things about my house and the way that I do things so that I can more easily function the way that my brain thinks. But like, I can't stop like living as an adult. And I kind of am seeing some of that. I definitely was seeing that within myself. So I don't feel good about letting myself off the hook for that at all. I gotta function. And it's let me tell you, it's 10 times harder when you don't have a job because routines are really helpful. And I am the first person on the fucking planet to let myself go. Like I like, and this is the thing, this is why this is actually a hack that I need to have for myself so that I can like be a person. But I set up a lot of things for myself that require me to show up for somebody else because I'm the first person to not show up for myself and just like sit and do nothing and have like what they call ADHD paralysis. So there's so much to do that I'm not doing any of it. So that's my hack. That's how I'm getting through this is that I'm showing up for other people because I don't want to disappoint anybody. So this is really good. If you're a person with ADHD and you know, uh a people pleaser to the point where it's like it causes anxiety in you, you should focus on pleasing people before you please yourself. And this is great advice coming from a doctor of psychology or psychiatry. I'm not sure which one does the whole diagnosis and or does any of the things that I'm saying, but either way, take medical advice from me. Okay, so we are at our final section called I don't know how I feel about this. And this one's an interesting one. It's sort of I don't look, I don't know how I feel about this because I don't know what's wrong with me. So I watch a lot of true crime. I'm very interested in, I won't say like I love true crime. Because that feels weird. I don't love crime. I love learning about how to stay prepared when crime can occur. And look, I think a lot of people like me, women, queer people, anybody in a marginalized group can find the way to true crime as a bit of an obsession because it's almost like this happens more to, the identities that we have and that we share, and so you like gravitate towards knowing what happens and what could happen. Not to get too fucking deep about it, but like it's a scary world out there and I want to know what I'm in for. And I really hope I'm not in for any of that. I hope no one's in for any of that, which leads me into this thing that like I feel kind of crazy about. So I watch a lot of documentaries and shows, in particular, stuff on Investigation Discovery. I watch stuff on, every Hulu and Netflix documentary that ever comes out, anything on HBO Max, anything that like has anything to do with true crime, I'm on it. I'm interested. And in particular, there's this one show, Forensic Files. Y'all know it if you are a person who watches true crime stuff. And Forensic Files is a very specific show. Like the formula for each episode is always the same. You start with a crime and you're sort of peeling back the layers to figure out what happened. And every single time during a Forensic Files episode, they they start to talk about what was left behind by the killer and how they used those things to forensically link it to the killer. And when I get really into the story and they're like, and little did he know he left behind half a palm print. And my first instinct is like, idiot, Why'd you do it? You should have worn gloves. I can't believe it. What are we doing here? If we're going to do the crime, let's do it correctly. And then I have to have a very real conversation with myself about whether or not I'm rooting for the murderer. And I'm not. Truly, I'm not. But why is my first instinct to be like, baby, I got a laundry list of mistakes and they start here. And I'm like going down a list of what I would do if I was in that situation, which by the way, I never would be. I can't hurt anything or anybody. The idea of doing that is horrendous to me. So why am I so prepared to have like a very real come to Jesus moment with the person who killed someone and be like, look, if we're doing this again, here's a list of everywhere you went wrong. You didn't wear gloves. The dirt on your shoes was from the same was from the same field where the body was found. You didn't think to wash those or throw away your shoes. And by the way, if you turn off your cell phone for a 12-hour period in the year of our Lord 2025, or even like I would say like from like 27 on to today, 27, 2007 on to today, if you turn off your phone for a 12-hour period, red flag, the cops are absolutely going to look at you as a suspect. And by the way, here I am continuing to go down this road where I'm helping murderers. I don't want to do that. So I want justice for the victims. I don't want anyone to be hurt or murdered. So I don't know how I feel about this because my brain can't stop. Do other people do this? Or am I broken in a unique way? Let me know. Okay, there we are. We're done. That was episode 6. Episode 6 of I Feel Good About This. If that's wrong, we'll go ahead and Photoshop someone saying a different episode number. I don't know what. Look, you're here. We did it. We had a great time. We aired some grievances. We talked about some things we loved. If you enjoyed your time with me, please share this video with someone who you think might also enjoy the time. I encourage everyone you know to like and subscribe and comment and do all those internety things to this video. You can listen to us on a podcast network too. We're on Apple or Spotify. And we're on all social media. I Feel Good About This pod. Sometimes it's I Feel Good About the. Either way, you'll find it. There's a picture of me, and you can't go wrong. I feel good about this. Thank you guys for sticking around, and I look forward to continuing on next week. Have a good one. Love you. Bye. I feel good about this.